Hi everyone. So I am here doing our last super art supply of the week. We're going to move on to some other units starting next week, and I'm going to start doing 3 videos a week instead of 5. It's just been a lot, but we're on the learning curve, so we're figuring it out. So today we're actually going to make our super art supply. I have not come up with a creative name yet, so I will introduce them to you officially tomorrow in our second lesson, but we are going to be making Play-Doh today. So if you have Play-Doh at home already, awesome, use it. If you don't, this is my favorite recipe. It makes really smooth, soft, fun to work with Play-Doh that lasts a really long time if you keep it in an airtight container. So I will tell you the ingredients. I'll also post them under the video. I have some cooking right now, so I can kind of show you what it looks like in process. And then I'll kind of show you some options for mixing in the colors. So to start, pretty basic ingredients. You need some salt, flour. I guess I'll give you the amounts now. You need 3/4 of a cup of salt. You need 2 cups of flour, all-purpose, any kind is fine. You need cream of tartar. This one is probably the least common ingredient, but it makes the Play-Doh really smooth, so it's worth searching it out and putting it into the recipe. You need 4 teaspoons of this. And then some sort of cooking oil. This is something that I use vegetable oil for because it's inexpensive and really smooth. You need 2 tablespoons of that, and then 2 cups of lukewarm water, and then food coloring. I will get into the food coloring in a little bit, but what you're going to do is mix all the dry ingredients up, so the salt, flour, and cream of tartar really well, and then you're going to add your oil and your lukewarm water and mix it. It's going to be like a really thick paste in your pan, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's been cooking for just over 15 minutes on medium on my stove. I've been mixing it every couple of minutes. I would say every 2 to 5 minutes more as we get closer to it being done. So it's really starting to look like a dough. I'm gonna bring it back to the stove and mix it and see if there's any wet spots. And if there are, I'm gonna push those to the bottom and give it another minute or so to dry out, because that's really what we're doing. All right, looks pretty good. So what I did was I took it off the heat. I'm gonna let it sit there for a minute. I will show you after I dump it out, but it does make the bottom of your pan look absolutely horrific. I don't know if other people have a better way of doing it, if they mix it more often, or if they use like a non-stick pan. I just happen to have a stainless steel pan that I'm using, and it like leaves a big crust on the bottom. So we made some Play-Doh earlier, and I just let the pan sit for a few hours with soapy water, and the crust like came right off. Looks nasty, but it's totally fine. It didn't hurt the pan at all. So after that sits for a minute, I have on my countertop just a kitchen towel, and I have a little piece of plastic wrap. Some people use wax paper, which is just a little more eco-friendly, but I tried using that this morning, and if your Play-Doh is at all sticky still, and sometimes it's hard to tell whether or not there's sticky spots, then it does stick to the wax paper and it's really hard to get it off. And there are ways to make it not sticky by adding a little more flour, but it kind of ruins the wax paper in the process. So I use a little piece of plastic wrap to dump the finished dough out on. As you could see, I did not add food coloring yet. There is an option to add food coloring beforehand if you want your whole batch to be one color, and what you would do is just add your food coloring to your water before you mix it in, which is great. It actually takes a step out and makes it way easier, but it's a pretty big batch of dough, as you're gonna see, and if you have more than one kiddo or want more than one color, then you are probably going to need to separate it out. And so we separated out this size batch into 3 like good size balls. So I'll show you a couple of them. This is one. Oh, that's kind of in there. So this is just one of the 3 portions of Play-Doh that we got out of this one recipe that we're making right now. So that's, to me, that's a really good amount. Like I can split this in two for my two kids and they will be both be satisfied that they have the same color and the same amount of Play-Doh, and it's usable. So got those three. All right, I'm gonna dump this out and we're gonna knead it a little bit. Okay. See some stickiness. I'm hoping. I also find that if I leave this in here too long, it starts to get sticky again. I'm sure there's a scientific reason. I'm not sure what it is. So I'm just gonna dump this out. I'm gonna show you the bottom of my pan, which looks absolutely terrible. I'm gonna let this sit and cool and then throw some soapy water in it and it will be fine, I promise. All right, so my dough looks pretty sticky. I'm gonna move it here so you can see a little better and tilt it down. So, looks pretty sticky, it's really hot. So what I'm gonna do is throw some flour on top, kind of like you would when you're like flouring the countertop to make a pie or something. The nice thing is you can't really mess this up if you don't add too much. You can, or if you add too much flour, then you can go back in and add some oil after, and that will help it to be less dry if it ends up being too dry. You can kind of play around with it a little bit. So what I'm doing is, I don't know if I can tilt this down. A little bit. It's okay. All right, so I'm going to use this plastic wrap to push the dough around so that I'm not burning my hands. You can let this sit, obviously, and cool. I'm just not patient and I want to make this video and be able to show you all the steps. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm kind of just kneading it around and pushing the flour into the dough. It is fairly sticky, so I'm going to add a little more flour. And we're going to make up this dough. While I'm kneading, I will tell you a little bit about the food coloring situation. So I have regular liquid food coloring. We have neon, just like the McCormick stuff that you see at the store, and the regular assorted. But a while back, I got this liquid gel food coloring that has all of these amazing colors. And so we used that, and that's what gave us these beautiful colors here. So we're gonna stick with that kind. You can definitely use regular food coloring. It still comes out super bright and nice if you add enough. I would say you typically need at least 10 drops of food coloring. I'll show you in a minute, we tried using just 5 of one of the liquid food colorings and had a really hard time mixing it in. It didn't really seem to be going throughout the Play-Doh, so I would say you need at least 10. If you want it to be really saturated with color. We like our Play-Doh really bright. It just makes it extra fun to play with. If you add a little less of the food coloring, then you're gonna get a little marbling effect in the Play-Doh, which also can be really cool if that's what you're looking for. Lots of options with this homemade Play-Doh, which is part of the fun and the joy. I actually really like this part where you're kneading it because it's really warm and it feels really good on your hands. All right, so it's getting less sticky. You can see that still see some flour on the outside. It's still pretty warm actually in my hands if I hold it for too long. So I'm gonna keep going as I cover myself in flour here. I feel like I put a little too much on, so I might need to add some oil after, but that's okay. Then I can show you how that works. So I had mentioned before you can add the food coloring to the water if you only want one color for your whole batch. If you would like to separate your dough out, like I said, we separated this big batch out into 3 and got 3 good amounts of Play-Doh. That's what I would add the 10 or so drops of food coloring, or if you're using the liquid gel, I would say at least 2, probably more like 3 good squirts. They don't really come out like drops, they come out like squirts. To each of these smaller batches. So if you're gonna color your whole batch one color, I would go with more food coloring. You kind of have to just experiment with that a little bit, like I said, depending on what you want. All right, so we're getting there with this dough. It doesn't feel sticky anymore. I've mostly kneaded in the flour. I don't think I need this plastic wrap anymore, so I'm gonna toss that to the side. Yep, I'm right on my countertop. It's not sticking at all. It actually feels really smooth. I'm not feeling like it's too dry in any spots. If that were the case, if it felt like when I was pushing on it, there were spots that would come up dry, I would take my vegetable oil or whatever cooking oil you're using and drizzle just a little bit, like a few drops to start on the dry spots and knead it in again. And you can always add a little more after if you need it, but that will smooth it out a little bit. All right, so got it. Nice big ball of dough. So we chose not to color this dough. That means we need to add our food coloring now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add it to this one I started before because it's not too warm. So we throw our ball of Play-Doh into a bag. I flatten the dough out in the bag so there's like a little palm print in it. And then I grab whatever food coloring I want. We were starting this one out with purple, so I'm gonna add a nice squirt of purple. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this because it's like tricky. So let's see. All right, so I got my bag open. You can see the palm print in my dough, and I'm gonna add this little bit of purple here. So see how it's like more like a squirt. It's not really a drop. All right, so I did that. I think I'm gonna add another one, but with pink because I feel like this purple's super dark, and I think we want it to be a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna add this squirt of pink as well. And now I'm gonna seal my bag up and we're gonna knead our dough again. This time I'm gonna smush the food coloring right into the middle of the dough and just knead it in the bag. This step is great for your kids to do. The girls helped me with the batch this morning. That's why I didn't have them join me. I feel like it would have been hard for me to give all these directions and they wouldn't, there's not a whole lot that they can do when I'm cooking it. They helped pour ingredients in. They helped knead the dough inside the bag, but even that gets a little bit tough. Like Quinn, who's 2.5, it was too hard for her to really get the food coloring throughout the dough, and Kala needed some help as well. So a collaborative project to an extent. So I'm going and kneading. You can see that you're starting to kind of get that marbly effect here in the bag. And I'm just gonna keep going until it's the color that I want it to be. I had already added a few squirts to this, I think 3. So that's why I only added the 2 squirts, one of pink, one of purple. I think I'm probably gonna go in, I am right now actually, and add at least 1 more. I think I'm gonna add 2 more because we want these to be really bright. So I'm gonna add another bit of purple and another bit of pink, and then go to town here with the mixing. And then that will be it. Then you'll have this beautiful Play-Doh in whatever color you choose. We keep it in the Ziploc bags that we kneaded it in just to be as waste-free as possible. And then we are gonna use it for all sorts of things this week. I'm super excited. We're gonna be doing some construction, and I'm gonna share about some of our invitations to play, and yeah, it's gonna be super fun. Last note on something, or 2 things that you can add to make this kind of keep well and smell good and help keep germs at bay. You could also add a dash of cinnamon when you're mixing the dry ingredients. That helps it to smell good. It does help with germs a little bit. And then you could also add essential oils. So I decided to add essential oils to these. I did it just what I had in the house. So I had cedar wood, and that just smells really earthy for the green. And then I used like a pure mix, which is like a eucalyptus mint for the blue. And then I'm probably gonna add some more to the others. Just adds another sensory experience to playing with the Play-Doh. Super fun. So that's all for today. I will again add the recipe below the video, and keep your eye out the rest of this week. We're gonna do some fun stuff. We're gonna do some nature-based stuff because on Wednesday it's Earth Day. It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, no less. So we're gonna definitely be out in nature quite a bit this week. I hope you are too. And yeah, like this video, subscribe to our page, and thanks so much. Happy creating, guys.